Hello everyone, RetroCon here. Today, we will be reviewing a game in which you play as the protagonist who has just landed on a strange and unfamiliar planet. You are tasked with stripping the planet of all of its natural resources and destroying anything that dares get in the way of your mission. Welcome to Factorio. What is Factorio, you ask? Factorio is a game about destroying a planet's ecosystem as quickly as possible. It is about growing a factory, much like one would raise a child. You start off having to do everything for your child. You have to feed it resources, defend it against predators, and perform general maintenance to keep it healthy and strong. You can also take it apart and put it together however you feel, just like you would a real human child. Your child will eventually grow into a massive anonymous structure that will inevitably destroy all of the vegetation, consume all of the natural resources, and poison all of the water in a 10-mile radius. Factorio is a game that proves once and for all that the true consequence of global warming is rampant mutations in your genome, as well as increased libido. This is evident in the ever-growing alien wildlife assaulting you in ever-increasing numbers. You start the game off as a fragile human, capable of doing nothing more than cowering in fear behind curtains of walls and turrets at the slightest hint of aggression. Through hard work and willpower, you work your way up to becoming a powerful avatar. You no longer serve your factory. The factory serves you. You become a demigod capable of moving metric tons of resources and turning it into whatever you want. The once hostile aliens know to steer clear or face genocide. You expand wherever you want and consume whatever you want. And you do all of this because you can. Because much like a cancer, you want to do nothing more than to consume and grow. Visuals. Who said a factory can't look like a cold and imposing doomsday machine in style? Factorio mimics the high-fidelity retro look popular in many other indie games. All the objects in this game, including the GUI, have an obvious crisp and polished look. The amount of detail in the finished release is truly a testament of passion, as you can see even the tiniest of doodads whirling away at building the next piece of your doomsday factory. Watching your radars, steam engines, and assembly machines work away at keeping your factory operational is just the tip of the iceberg in this visual feast. The visuals lend to the factory feeling like a war crime waiting to happen. There's nothing quite like it. As it turns out, strip mining all of the natural resources from the ground and burning down entire forests in silence can be a bit drab. Fortunately, Factorio offers a fitting soundtrack to play along with your wanton destruction of the planet. Dark, depressing music with hints of machinery offers a comfy experience as you expand and grow. The audio is an often overlooked but important component of the game. The sounds of inserters whizzing by, steam engines puttering, or the refineries processing crude oil adds to an already immersive experience. Zoom in on that machine and hear it whirl away, or listen to the sweet siren sound of aliens burning to death as your flamethrower turrets incinerate anything foolish enough to come within walking distance of your fortress. Gameplay. Factorio is just about convoluted enough to gatekeep those who are new to the genre of resource management and base building. While some complain the beginning to be slow, I find this ends up complementing the game as it places a very strong emphasis on automating the production of resources early on. You start off with nothing but a few tools on you, just enough to get a handful of resources flowing and to give you a taste of the true power of automation. You'll use this initial drill to mine resources from various mines, which you can feed directly into a furnace to produce plates and bricks. The initial drills and furnaces will need coal fed into them in order to work. Eventually, you will have amassed a sufficient hoard of drills and furnaces that will require a significant time investment in maintenance. In order to free up time, you will look into the electric variants of the drill, as well as generating the power to operate them. The setup of power is relatively easy, but a few trips back and forth between your power source and base will have you setting up your first logistic network. This process will have you learn about using belts and inserters to fully automate resource gathering and energy production. With that out of the way, you'll start to look into the research tree. Oh yeah, there's a research component to this game. The research tree is pretty large, but mostly straightforward, and allows you to unlock new technologies and upgrades at the cost of research packs. More on those later. Anyways, among the first few things you will research is the assembly machine. This is where the game truly pivots into the ludicrous feedback loop of increasing production to keep up with consumption. Doing this might seem simple on paper, but when combined with balancing energy, research, and constant alien assaults, you'll come to learn that this is going to be one hell of a ride. Researching is the only path to winning the game. The goal is to research rocketry, which allows you to build the rocket necessary to get off the planet. To do this, you must build ever more complicated research packs. Red ones are simple enough, and a few of them can be built by hand without taking up too much time. But eventually, you will unlock the next batch of research packs, which will ask for more complicated and nonsensical components to produce. All this development doesn't come for free though. Most of your machines produce pollution, which has a nasty habit of attracting local wildlife. Pollution presents two problems. Firstly, it grows radially around your base, and any aliens caught in its perimeter will attack the source. Secondly, the more pollution you produce, the more aggravated they become, and thus the more frequently they attack. Attacks will come from all sides, with increased consistency and ferocity. The increased attention will have you seeking out solutions found either further down the research tree or in more complicated recipes. As such, you'll be forced to produce plastics, sulfuric acid, and engines among many things to produce the mid-tier packs necessary to unlock more components. Oh, and you'll be needing these by the thousands. Along the way, you'll implement more efficient methods of getting resources around and moving about. Faster belts, trains, and tanks are among some of the upgrades you'll unlock along the way. Of course, the more you produce, the more you must consume, and resources are finite. The time has come to expand, and the aliens are in the way of your rightful clay. Mount your tank with high explosive shells, full metal jacket magazines, and violate all ethics of warfare with a flamethrower attachment. Launch what is perhaps your first true offensive, wiping out hordes of alien nests and clearing out territory for colonization. This will typically unlock access to larger ore deposits as well as uranium and oil deposits necessary for mid to late game expansion. This process is only the beginning of the Great Purge, as there are more devastating and powerful weaponry locked further in the tree. I won't reveal too much, but genocide has never been easier. With this newfound space, expand your factory with more exotic configurations as you struggle to optimize space and maneuver resources where they need to be. Continue to grow, build, and finally reach the ultimate goal of launching that rocket out of orbit. Some of you might be asking, this all sounds fun and all, but it also sounds rather lonely. Can I automate friends? Well, you can't. But good news, there's a better deal. You don't have to be the lone survivor of the crash landing. That's right, you can conquer a planet with friends. The gameplay handles mostly the same, although with a friend you might want to split up tasks and set roles. For example, when me and my friend played, I focused on building the central base, while he focused on long-distance logistics and setting up defensive perimeters. Occasionally, we would team up and go on resource expeditions together and clear up nests with brutal efficiency. Well, some of the times it worked. We ended up building a base where the greatest threat to our safety wasn't the hordes of biters and spitters hanging outside the base, but rather the trains hurling at the speed of sound down the tracks. Eventually, we reached the endgame, having built artillery and spidertrons to wreak havoc on the aliens. With the eventual peace, we managed to launch our rocket into space with a satellite on board, and so we concluded our game. It's quite the experience and very fun. There are always things to do and places to be, even with all the insane amount of automation you can get away with. Story. Quite frankly, there is a very simple story in this game. You've crash landed on a planet, and your goal is to get off the planet. No audio logs or strange locations to find or any hidden surprises. That's it. Factorio is a hell of a game. If you love managing resources and building bases, then this is the game for you. There is enough complexity and depth to keep you entertained for multiple playthroughs and for several hundred hours. The steampunk music and crisp visuals make the whole experience really immersive. Be prepared for sleepless nights, because this is the type of game that eats multiple hours per session. Overall, I highly recommend this game. It recently came out of early access, and for a flat price of $30, it's a total steal. Well, that concludes this video. I don't know what I'm going to be doing for my next video, but I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, and have a beautiful day.